All right, Wendy, how good are these Warriors?
They did have a little bit of a soft schedule, like Buddy Hield was saying. But you know what's ironic about this is Kerr is getting booed because of what happened in the Olympics. But the way Steve Kerr is playing with the Warriors right now is a very Olympic-style game plan. In the Olympics, and Mike Krzyzewski really pioneered this when he was the coach, what they would do is the U.S. has so much more depth than everybody. So he would play 5 guys. He would tell those guys to go out there and run around like crazy until you're exhausted on defense. And then he would bring 5 new guys in. And the idea is you're taking 5 All-Stars out and putting 5 All-Stars in, and it's won the U.S. 5 straight gold medals. That's what Steve Kerr did largely in the Olympics in Paris. It was 5-5, though there were 10, and Tatum was the 11th guy against Serbia. But whatever. What he's using now is he's using 12 or 13 players, and he's playing them Olympic style. He's playing like 7 of them, like between 13 and 20 minutes. They're going out there, they're exhausting themselves on defense, and then he's doing mass subbing. And then he's letting Draymond Green and Steph Curry do the heavy lifting at each end of the court. But it's working. If you watch the way the Warriors play, they play high-pressure defense. They're double-teaming like crazy. The players get exhausted. Out comes two more come in, and they've got the number 2 defense in the league so far. And if you can limit the Boston Celtics, who have an absolutely dynamic offense, you can do special stuff.
Absolutely. And when you talk about what Wendy's saying, when you're able to blitz the way they did in that first half against the Boston Celtics, you like that right there? Yeah, blitz. That's what they call it.
I feel like I'm sitting next to J.J. Redick.
Don't go that far. When you're able to do that and you have so many guys that can play, you can sub those guys out and move them around. And yes, the Celtics got going in the third quarter and just started knocking down threes. But I think the cool part about it is when you have experience like you have in a Steph Curry and you have in a Draymond Green, you got to get to the fourth quarter. Once you get to the fourth quarter and you get to winning time, you put the ball in those guys' hands and allow them to do their thing. But the fun thing for this team is when you talk about Kerr playing multiple guys, the only way you can do that is guys have to step up and make plays and earn those minutes. Guys like Jonathan Kuminga coming off the bench playing well. Guy like Buddy Hield you bring over there, and he's making the big 3 at the end of the game to secure it. Those are the moments in the players that are stepping up that allows him to play that rotation.
Wendy, I have a question for you, just as like an observer, okay? I watched this game a little bit last night. Do they have enough size? Because I think, again, just being a fan of the NBA with Denver, do they have enough size? Because I didn't see a lot on the court.
That is a question, and one of the things that's also happened this year is Kevon Looney, who frankly last year, he was their center for all their championships. He sort of played a bit role with Andrew Bogut for a while. Looney, frankly, was just not good last year, and people were wondering, is Looney past his prime? Looney has been awesome. Looney had several big-time putbacks last night as well. So, yeah, I do think it's a concern on the whole, but if this Kevon Looney lasts, they might be able to triage it. Also going to say, now, they may not want to do anything with this roster because it's so good, but the Warriors are the biggest candidate in my mind to make a big trade. They tried to trade for LeBron James last trade deadline. I know it was was one of the most amazing stories that Woj and Ramona reported all last year was that trade talks went down. Okay, that didn't happen. Then they tried to trade for Paul George. Then they tried to trade for Lauri Markkanen. This is a team that's got an itchy trigger finger trying to make a big deal. All of these players' value are increasing as this happens. I mean, that's one of the stories of they're getting more production. Yeah, sorry.
No. I wanted you to finish your thought there, but I'm just curious. Do you know anyone that they have their eye on?
I know that's what the next question is going to be. Let's just wait and see. Okay. I think they don't feel the pressure to do that. I just know that it's something that they've kicked around. So they're a team that not only has so much going for them right now, they have what's needed to potentially make a trade later. And I'll just bring up Buddy Hield. Jason brought up Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is making $30 million, actually more than that, like $33 million less than Klay Thompson did last year. And he has basically been a better player. He is shooting a higher percentage on the same volume of three-point shots. Now, is that going to hold up? Probably not. But even if he regresses a little bit, they're getting so much production out of him at so much less cost. Yeah. It's just an indication of how much more dynamic this roster is now than they were a year ago. And Buddy Hield is thrilled to be there. He's happy to be a Warrior. Klay was in a miserable mood a lot of last season.
Yeah, so right now that's working out for them, but we got to stay tuned on that and see if it continues.
I was right. That's the most important thing ever, right? I was right. I was the only one that picked the Golden State Warriors.
You're perfect.
And damn it, they went out there and did.
Well done. There you go.
By Steph Kerr. Okay, this defense was so refreshing. I'm telling you, watching the Golden State Warriors, the way that they pick up 94 feet, they get physical, communicating on the switches, from Moses Moody to Andrew Wiggins to Jonathan Kuminga, they are ferocious defensively. And look, they did an outstanding job last night without Podziemski.
Yep.
I mean, this team is real. And look, I would not be surprised if this team make it to the Western Conference Finals. I would not be surprised at all.
So, the Golden State Warriors have absolutely been putting on a show as of recent, and yes, they may have lost a couple of games here and there, but they are still in the top half when it comes to the Western Conference, and they're putting on an absolute show while also doing a very, very good job to the start of the season, as a lot of people did not expect this. Now, we look at the Golden State Warriors. This is one of the first times in many years that we've actually seen the Golden State Warriors rank in the top 10 in almost every single category possible. So, the last time they actually did achieve something like this was a time that they won an NBA championship back against Boston. We see that they rank second in points, second in rebounds, third in assists, fourth in steals, eighth in blocks, and also moving on to three-point attempts, they've also ranked third in 3 points made. So the list really does go on, and like I said, when it comes to the Golden State Warriors so far in this season, they've definitely been putting on a show, especially when it comes to the players that have been playing fantastically and have also been, really stepping up ever since Klay Thompson left. First notable is Steph Curry. Steph Curry is still playing at such a high level. We all know Steph is getting older, and a lot of people do believe that Steph couldn't produce the same amount of volume of shots, same amount of scoring, threats that he could be out there as he does get older, but he's proving a lot of people wrong. He's actually, only scoring 22 points per game, definitely different from last season. However, he does have a lot more help when it comes offensively, and because of that, it's actually led Steph Curry to be able to average 43% from the three-point line, as he is being able to take more open shots, get more efficient looks, and not just everyone relying on him for the offense. We also have a couple of other players who are also scoring, above 15 points. You have Andrew Wiggins averaging 15.5 points as well, shooting 41% from the three, and also when it comes to field goal percentage, he's also shooting 44%. You also have Jonathan Kuminga, who's been playing great, averaging 14.6, so very close to 15 points. So when we look at Jonathan Kuminga, we also do see that he's shooting a three-point percentage of 34%. I think that's really good, especially for someone like Jonathan Kuminga, who isn't really seen as a three-point shooter, but the fact that he is still getting up around 3.2 attempts per game, shooting at that 30% mark, I think is really, really good. But the biggest standout, and probably someone that is putting up numbers that we have probably never seen ever, and that is none other than Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield so far is averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. But to take it even further to see just how efficient he's been shooting, he's currently shooting 50% from the field and also shooting 50% from the three-point line. Yes, you heard that right. 50% from the three-point line. It is 49.2, guys. He has honestly been playing great, and yes, this may not be sustainable for the whole season, but we never really know. A big fact is that Buddy Hield has been able to shoot the lights out, and he's doing this on 8.2 three-point attempts per game. So he's averaging around the same amount of three-point attempts as also, Steph Curry, which I think is great. Another standout is also Melton, who's shooting 37% from the three-point line as well, and also other players like Moses Moody, who doesn't take too many threes, but is still averaging 46% as well. So there's definitely a lot of key standouts when it comes to this Golden State Warriors team, and this is what they are definitely destined to do. We have seen them time and time again really put on a show, and when we look at some of the key games, such as Boston, such as OKC, we have seen them do a fantastic job, not just when it comes to being able to score, being able to rebound, being able to, play make, but the efficiency that they are shooting at in those games was definitely a big standout for them. Now, at one point, they did actually rank first when it came to the Western Conference, but since it is still very, very early on into the season, there's a lot of teams that, all it takes is one win, one loss, and you can get up, to the top of the table for the Western Conference. So it is still very interesting there, but when we look at the Western Conference, it is definitely notable, and it has been mentioned around the league, and you may have seen from these ESPN clips that I mentioned, that when it comes to the Golden State Warriors, they definitely can be a top 4 team in this Western Conference. Yes, the Western Conference is tough, but we have seen a lot of teams fail. Clippers are not the same as they used to be. Lakers, Grizzlies, and also Rockets are not, as great as people think they are. So the only teams I can really see Warriors really pushing for and battling for those top 4 spots are Suns and Thunder, and maybe potentially also Timberwolves. But Timberwolves haven't really had the greatest start. Mavericks haven't also had the greatest start. So there's a lot of teams in the Western Conference that look good on paper, but now when the time has come, it hasn't really looked too well for them. But it is still very early on in the season, but with the way that the Warriors have been playing so far right now, like what you saw from those clips that I mentioned earlier, you definitely can see the Warriors are a top 4 team. They could definitely take out the Western Conference, and we could see a rematch of Warriors and Boston, hopefully back in the NBA Finals.